So yeah, I'll go more into that later. But I'll just have a recording for those that need it, or maybe we can cut something up out of it.
Yeah.
So that should be active, and I might as well just share my screen and get stuck into the presentation. I think we've got everyone here. So I'll share the window.
Great. We already have questions coming in. Don't worry, guys. We would quickly answer them too as well.
Okay, let me know if that's full screen, Akshay.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
All right, cool. All right, well, yeah, welcome to today's developer workshop. So today we're going through all the different capabilities of OpenxAI Studio, how to tokenize AI models, LLMs, and AI agents. So basically how to tokenize and make money using Web3 out of your AI apps. Akshay has already talked about this, but basically OpenxAI is a permissionless AI protocol. So it's your data, your AI, your rules. And the biggest thing is no middleman. So if you think about AWS, how they host, they have special AI apps that you have to use. They have closed models that you use. Then they have a closed cloud stack that you use. What we found is a lot of AI applications, they might get $250 free cloud credits. They might apply for a startup grant and get $5,000 or $10,000. But then once they reach a point where the startups can scale, it's the middleman charges rent or a fee every month for you to keep building on top of AWS or Azure or GCP. Now, some of those AI apps that people build might cost between 10 to 25,000 US dollars per month, where it basically becomes unfeasible to keep running the app. So our mission at OpenxAI is to get rid of the middleman, a completely open source stack that people can actually build on. They can see the code, they see all aspects of it, and they don't have to worry about a middleman charging a huge fee. They're basically paying as close as they can to wholesale rates for the compute and storage. We also have a sort of bigger mission where if AI is controlled by, like I said, a handful of cloud computing companies, it is a threat to democracy. It's a threat to the powerful people of the world owning and controlling AI. And then all the people at the ground level, they can only use it and they don't have any control over the future of AI. Probably the biggest one, and we have had previous whole presentations and workshops about this, but at the start of the year, there was the DeepSeek moment where ChatGPT and OpenAI had the most powerful AI chatbot in the world where people can actually use it. Very powerful for writing university docs, coding, image generation. But the whole model, the whole cloud stack was completely closed source, and it's not available for people to run locally, run on their own machines, their own computing stack. And then when they go to scale an application using, say, OpenAI or, probably Gemini 2.5, you're paying huge API fees each month for an application you're building for developers, and it just becomes unfeasible where the costs might, if you have like thousands and thousands of calls per minute on your successful SaaS app, the amount of API calls goes through the roof and your cloud hosting fees go through the roof and your business is unviable. So we've sort of tipped that on its head, and I'll run through it in a second, how it works. So here's the OpenxAI full stack. So we have AI as a service. So OpenxAI is a studio. We can actually select all the open source AI models. Now, currently we support 46 open source AI models. but soon we'll be able to scale that up to over 150, all of the latest open source AI models. So this is coming out in the next month with version 5 of the studio. So currently running version 4. So we are growing that and building that out, and you'll see a big update at the end of the month. The other thing we're building is an AI marketplace. Now there's a slide dedicated to that. Let me see if I can put circles, draw on this. No. So yeah, basically, if you can see my cursor, the AI marketplace for everyone, and then all the Ethereum standards for model ownership, fractionalized ownership, rent and reselling the AI business that you've built online. These are the things that we're going to enable. So I'll go into that more towards the end of the session. Then the other part of this to realize is OpenxAI is a AI-focused spin-off from the parent company, OpenMesh. So I'll show you what OpenMesh is in a second. But basically, both is run by DAOs. So there is governance built in. It's owned by the people that hold the token. And then we have verified contributors contributing to the open source code. Now, I'll just quickly load up this screen here. So this is OpenMesh network. So yeah, so you can see that. So yeah, this is the sort of parent company that does all the cloud hosting for us. The most important thing to realize here is what OpenMesh is doing is aggregating 32 data center providers all around the world. So we're taking all the bare metal compute from, say, Vultr, High Velocity. Let's see, we've got Equinix as well. And then they're the 3 big providers. And then there's a whole bunch of little ones in different geographic areas around the world. And what we do is aggregate all those together. And that's provided by OpenMesh. So I can actually go to this studio and show that. So in the resources section, yeah, it's loading up all the different data centers that provide compute and storage into the OpenMesh cloud, which then serves the OpenxAI studio. So you can sort of see in, say, Washington, there's a whole bunch of different bare metal providers. So probably a lot of app developers don't know what bare metal is, or they don't really care about the server deployment infrastructure. So basically what that means is there's people running data centers that have high availability, like 5.9 availability or 99.9999% availability, minimal downtime, 24/7, 365 days a year. They're providing the aircon so that all these server racks of equipment is running at a certain, within tolerance of the hardware at optimum temperature. Some of them use air cooling for, say, GPU providers as well, and some use water cooling as well. Then they also have, say, backup power and all these important infrastructure to be able to provide server infrastructure for the cloud. And what we do is actually tap into that. And what bare metal actually means is there's no, other than turning it on and monitoring it, the bare metal data center provider doesn't do anything else. They don't deploy containerization. They don't deploy Docker or any of the extra things that you might see in, say, Azure that sort of slows it down and makes it really expensive. They just provide wholesale prices for bare metal server infrastructure. And what we do is actually at OpenMesh and OpenxAI is install the Linux distro called NixOS, which we have forked into Xnode OS, which is the operating system that runs on top of the bare metal infrastructure. So, and then from there, we've starting to build all the, say, containerization, all the backup redundancy, all the open source cloud stack on top. And what that means is because it's open source, anyone can contribute to the code base. There's no middleman. It's basically we've also provided a studio where you can actually, it's a front end where you can actually talk to your bare metal compute and then actually deploy Xnode OS on top, which is the operating system, and then the app templates over the top of that to install the different applications layer. So
Himanshu have asked a really great question over here. Like he's asking like what's better, bare metal or cloud in terms of speed? And of course, I know in terms of pricing, OpenxAI is much better. In terms of speed, if you want to comment on that.
Yeah. So basically, bare metal's slightly different. So instead of relying on AWS to build a protocol that routes traffic from one place to another, you basically do that as part of the open source deployment. And because we're running NixOS and then we've got the Xnode OS cloud layer on top, we're able to basically pick different bare metal machines around the world that can help decrease latency for your users of your app. So let's say if you deployed to a certain area like Miami in a data center, it will be fast for people in that area. But as you go around the world, it gets slower due to latency. With the OpenMesh cloud, what we're building is a lot bigger, where there's thousands of different machines that are contributing to the OpenMesh cloud, and anything that's unused or underutilized, it can actually help run your application on different stacks on top of Xnode OS. So that product's actually called OpenMesh Cloud. Instead of you just controlling one machine, you can actually put it into the OpenMesh Cloud, which is a decentralized protocol where it can actually route traffic to other servers that are contributing to the cloud. You can go to the Git book on openmesh.network and have a read about the OpenMesh Cloud. There's a lot of development in that space. So right now you can only deploy to single machines. That's fast. So basically it is bare metal. It's as close to the CPU memory storage. There's actually a dedicated server just for your application. And typically for wholesale rates, you can actually get it, 80%, 90% cheaper than hosting on AWS and Azure. What we're doing is building that open source stack, so it's really easy for you to do that. Right now, it's before OpenMesh, it's very complicated to deploy straight onto bare metal, but with OpenMesh and what they've been building, they're making it a lot easier to build and deploy. So let me just flick back to this. I just wanted to go to the next slide. So yeah, with any other questions, Akshay? Also, while you're here, make sure you think of your AI app idea and post that in the community forum. So sign up to the community forum, and I'll just show you what that looks like here. So go to this site and sign up. And what we're trying to do is build a community, and we want you to be involved and provide ideas on what you want to build so we can support you in the future.
Yeah, guys, you can go over there to the link, add in your particular ideas as stated over here. You can go ahead and take your time on that. Like as I stated, my personal idea is that AI companion, a really helpful thing to go out with their daily day life. So I guess that would be great. So yeah, we do have a couple insights and ideas coming in. So great going. You also guys can do that. Himanshu is saying, is Mimic gonna integrate video streaming that acts and talks like a person too? Or is it just about voice?
Yeah, so it's a voice focused application. So basically, it just provides audio. What we did for the demo in Dubai is just provide a sound wave interface where you can actually see the vocal oscillation of the frequency of the voice. So that's a easy sort of hack UX because we didn't really want to distract people with 3D avatars in an AI panel when they're looking at a 2D TV screen. We just wanted to, for them to basically listen and actually get involved and engage and listen to the conversation. And then we actually gave it to the community. So we handed the microphone around the auditorium and people were able to talk to the different AI agent characters.
Yeah, great. So Karan is
joining. Nice.
Yeah, stay by. So Karan is asking, how does OpenxAI plan to support devs who want to integrate with Web3 apps or AI platforms?
Yeah, so I'll get into that later on in the presentation. I'll also run through a video demo of the Mimic as well. No questions. I'll go on to the video section.
Yeah, I guess that works.
Yeah. Let me do that now. So just quickly, like I mentioned the stats around how many models we're hosting. So yeah, 46 AI models. So these are AI open source models like DeepSeek, R1, and you can actually run and deploy that on your own bare metal machine. There's a whole bunch of other ones, even from big cloud providers like Google. They have their own open source AI models. There's some other stats here, but I can quickly just show you what the App Store looks like. And this is the old version 4. So we're actually rebuilding it to version 5. It should be out in the next couple of weeks. So that's going to be a lot easier. I can show you what it looks like now. It's very basic. You connect your wallet and then you go through a similar selection to deploy. But what it does here is basically you can select different open source AI models, and then each AI open source provider has different parameter versions of their open source model, which then determines how big the size requirements are to deploy it. So what are the server specs you need to deploy? So if you pick 1.5 billion parameters DeepSeek R1, there's a smaller requirement than the other ones. And then you go through and you can select this. Now, this is the section that the guy asked a question about. What are the different business models for monetization? So basically, we're using Ethereum Solidity smart contracts. These aren't in production yet, but I can show you ones that we have done in production. And ERC 721 is like the NFT standard. And what that means is we can actually ensure that the only person that can administrate your cloud equipment and your application code is the Web3 wallet that holds the NFT. And then that basically is signed on to be able to, you need to hold that in your wallet when you connect to the studio. And then that hash is what allows you to actually access editing and deploying that server infrastructure and application code base. So we have that. The other models that are great, and these are new, well, not new, but they're other ERC standards on Ethereum. So subscription, where you're basically renting or getting users to subscribe to your cloud AI app. So for example, you might have a Donald Trump voice clone app that people go to and create joke memes out of or something, generate videos or audio. You might charge like $2 a month for that, but it might go viral and you can actually get $2 a month from thousands of people. You can actually start making good money out of that. So the subscription ERC smart contract standard allows wallets to subscribe and pay monthly $2, whatever you want to charge to that AI app service. The ERC 721, if you think of like, say, domains, you might buy a domain akshay.com. AkshayTheDev.com, and after a year, you might build a nice, cool application on it. Maybe it's Akshay giving his words of wisdom in a video, 3D video, using AI in the back end and an LLM model to generate the text. And you might spend a year building that up, or maybe a month for you, Akshay. But the ERC 721 means you can actually sell that whole business. So all access, all code, all server infrastructure you deployed, because that NFT provides the access to the cloud equipment and the code, then you can actually it is wrapped up in the NFT standard, and then you can actually sell that. So example of this is if I just go to OpenxAI.io and then I type open mesh. It's like loading. Hang on. There it is. Yeah. So here are what we used to call DVMs. So basically, when you deploy a server, you actually get an ERC 721 token to deploy it, and that goes into your wallet. And then you're the only person that. So the person that has this NFT in their wallet is the person that can connect to the Open Mesh Studio or OpenxAI Studio, and then control and access that server. And then they're the one that has control of the application. So what that means is, because it is wrapped up in a ERC 721 NFT standard, you can actually sell it. So you can go make an offer. It's a marketplace on OpenSea where people can actually make offers and sell the whole application. So just like domains, when you build up a domain, you might build value and user traffic and users to the domain. You can then sell it on a marketplace or an escrow service. You can do the same thing with applications on OpenxAI and OpenMesh.
Wow.
Okay, so I think that's it for this slide. I just want to get into the video section as well. I already mentioned this, but there is a bunch of different closed source AI models that you can pay money, like $10 a month, $15 a month, all the way up to say $200 a month for like premium versions. So what we've found is if you're building an application that talks to the API endpoint of say ChatGPT, you can actually host a similar model like DeepSeek R1 on your own infrastructure. There is no external APIs, and I'll go into this more with Mimic. But basically, if you can imagine building your application that has an AI backend, like LLM model running in the backend, you might have 2 or 3 or 4 models running in the backend to do different things, which we do have in AI Panel and Mimic. And then you're running that all on the bare metal server, which is, these aren't like home computers. These are hardcore, high spec, high CPU, memory, compute storage bandwidth, all running on one machine. You can actually run with GPU as well. You can actually run a huge application on one bare metal server, and you're barely like utilizing the CPU and GPU and memory. It's probably utilizing like 10-15% of it. And the reason that is because there's this middleman that's charging huge markup. They might have one, they'll have a whole data center, but they're doing it at scale. So they'll have one high spec CPU, high spec GPU machine, and then they're farming it out to like 10 cloud clients that are paying, say, AWS or Azure or GCP, subscription per month, and they're paying per volume and usage, and they're charging like 10 times the markup, or 900% markup on the actual wholesale cost of what they're delivering to you. So if you actually get rid of all that and open source the whole stack, control the bare metal, machine running underneath that, you're basically democratizing the cloud. And then also hosting AI models, you can do this exact same thing. You host it on a machine that has GPU capabilities. You can actually run all that processing and inference on the one machine. And what it means is when you're designing an app, it's actually a little bit different because you're not relying on 10 different external API calls from different API endpoints from other providers. You can actually just build it all with open source on one machine, and it's actually runs fast enough for your.
It's like a monopolies of centralization that are out here putting out to the user. Like this is how much the GPU costs and everything. Like at the end of the day, it's not like
It's like a cartel that controls the price. And I think we migrated away from hosting our own bare metal infrastructure like 10 to 15 years ago during the cloud migration wave where everyone migrated their apps to the cloud. But then they all forgot about how to run their own servers and how to build, use operating systems, install that on a bare metal machine, then just deploy code on top of that. It's kind of sad, but at least there's, this opportunity to actually contribute to an open source project that can bring it back.
The questions that are coming in are actually pretty great. Like Imperial is asking, can Mimic be used for voice commanding and everything? So I just want to answer Imperial. Yeah, it can be used for that as well. But at the same time, think about it, doing it at scale. If you are pushing that project out at a hackathon or you are pushing it out to various investors, I think OpenxAI can help you great to cut out the costs there. So yeah, you can go ahead and make a project and we would love to review it. So thanks a lot for the question. Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the video section. So this is the, you can look this up on Twitter, but basically it's the same videos and YouTube as well. But yeah, we had an event. So OpenxAI had an event at Token 2049 called Super Intelligence 2049. It's 1st of May this year. So like a couple of months ago, we had a lot of sponsors and people contributing to the event. So it was an excellent night. And yeah, basically my role, I contributed to the code. I'm an open source contributor to the code that helped run Mimic and the AI panel. And I'll run into a video now. So let me know if the sound works, Akshay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not audible for some reason.
Is it loud?
It's not audible.
Not audible. Okay, so let me just reshare.
Yeah.
I have to share the tab individually, I think. Just give me a sec.
The various questions that are coming in, no worries, guys. We have a questionnaire at the end of the session as well. So I will make sure that each of your questions get answered. Pretty great question as well. No worries. Yeah, you can start. Right? Yeah.
All right, so 20 seconds, try to keep up and down a little bit, yeah?
Okay.
Should I speak English or any other language? Okay. Hey, now I'm just want the.
Let me just give you a quick intro of what this is. So this is the Mimic app. What's going to happen here is they're talking to the app that's running on the computer at the, well, it's running in the OpenMesh cloud, but there's a laptop displaying the front end, and that's displayed on the presentation screen at the front. The microphone's hooked up to the same laptop, and then the audio is basically getting pulled in through a browser, which talks to the application. So what's going to happen is the person's talking. There's an application, like a website, listening to what the person's saying, and it's translating it. It's converting it into text. So there's, voice to text happening. So there's a model doing that. And then there's an LLM model doing conversation, so figuring out what they said in text, converting it, responding with an answer. And then there's another model which converts text to speech, and then it will reply. And what we're doing here is actually just displaying that it can do it all in like, hundreds of milliseconds, almost as very quickly anyway.
The
Sure.
AI agent tried to mimic my Ukrainian accent, if you can recognize it through my English experience. But I'm actually very happy to be here. Thank you so much for the invite. SI, Fetch, and OpenxAI, amazing tech. It was a pleasure to see such amazing panel with these AI agents. My name is Ilya. I'm a founder of Synth, another AI agents that we do together with Fetch AI and SI. Don't hesitate to come over and I'll tell you all the cool things about AI. It's a big pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. At this point, this voice has potential. I could order pizza, negotiate treaties, or just say mimic rocks. The possibilities are endless.
Wow. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'll play that bit again. So for those that didn't know what happened, he wasn't really expecting what's going to happen at the end there. He just he didn't ask it as a question, but the AI LLM processed all of what he said in as an input, converted it to text, and then responded in his own voice. So let's just do the last bit again.
About AI. It's a big pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. At this point, this voice has potential. I could order pizza, negotiate treaties, or just say mimic rocks. The possibilities are endless.
So guys, if you are able to see, like on the video, the screen that is green is the one that is out here mimicking the voice of that particular user. So like, that's so cool. It's actually so cool. Like the possibilities are actually endless for the user. I'm pretty great with it.
Yeah, and really I'm just highlighting, give us a love or whatever, love icon emoji if you're a developer. So just hit the love heart if you're a developer. Yeah, so basically, I don't know if you guys have built full stack apps that might have AI integrated, but typically it's either really expensive or high latency to call 3 different models. So instead of, you need text to speech, you need speech to text, and then you need the LLM conversational model. If you're doing that, you might have to do like 3 separate API calls to some other data center away from wherever your app is deployed. It's just a real pain. You also have to pay, quite a lot of expenses for usage and volume. When you're building, say, on an open mesh cloud on bare metal, because you're controlling a beast of a machine for like 90% cheaper than what AWS or big cloud providers charge, you're actually able to put your whole application, all the LLM models onto one server, and you're not being charged API calls because there is no external API call. If you can imagine that, just think about no external API calls. It's all internal within the full stack application that you're running on the one server. There's 3 models, so instead of 3 different providers, you're actually running it all locally, so very, very low latency. And then it's wholesale price for GPU. So if you can basically, pay a certain amount per month and have a, high spec GPU. If you need to get more power, you just slightly go up and pay for the next tier of wholesale GPU rental per month. And GPU, you can actually do hourly when you're talking about wholesale bare metal compute. You can actually rent the GPU hourly and scale up as you need. You don't have to, pay for the whole month up front. But yeah, you can. It's like there's these big centralized cloud providers. They've 10x the price. They've made it so you're locked into their product for AI and different services they have. And then we've all forgotten how to build open source and on top of, say, Linux, like NixOS. So yeah, that's the sort of beauty of this project. You take a bit of time to learn it, but then you can actually build cool, impressive apps. And we can rent that wholesale bare metal server for a month with the GPU, and that's it. You just pay that monthly fee or hourly fee or whatever it is, and there's no other fees. There's no volume fee. There's no API, external API service fee. There's no other SaaS you have to pay a fee for. You can actually build the whole application and run it, and don't have any surprises and costs. And I've just worked with a lot of startups that when they scale, they might get thousands of users, but then they also have $5,000 a month cloud fees. They might have 5 different SaaS products, 8 external APIs that they have to call. One for the database, which could be like a vector database like Pinecone. Then they'll have latency going from a Pinecone data center to the actual AWS or Azure data center where the app's hosted. Then they got to pay another SaaS subscription fee for Chat GPT for the external API call, and it just goes on and on and on. If you can just build the whole thing open source on one server and control the whole thing, it's just a lot more powerful. You can build cool apps like this. Then I'll go to the next one, which is the AI panel.
All right, so 20 seconds, try to keep up and down a little bit, yeah?
Should I speak English or any other language?
Is this the same one? Wait.
Yeah, it's
I need to get out of this. There we go.
So what's better than not a surprise fees when you're out there hosting the models and everything? So that's pretty good.
Yeah, let's do the next one, and this is the last video demo.
First up, a man who speaks in all caps even when he's silent. The original poster boy of American exceptionalism, and now, apparently, the self-declared CEO of Bitcoin. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Donald J. Trump. Next, the eternal hater of all things crypto, but somehow he keeps getting invited. He's been yelling buy gold since Y2K, and probably thinks a cold wallet is just a broken purse. Please welcome Peter Still Not Into Bitcoin Shift. Now entering the panel, or is he, the creator of Bitcoin, the ghost in the blockchain? The reason your uncle won't shut up about crypto at Thanksgiving. Give it up or remain confused for the legendary Satoshi Nakamoto. And finally, a man who made corporate finance sexy by betting the house on Bitcoin. He calls fiat a melting ice cube, and honestly, we believe he's made entirely of laser eyes and liquidity. Put your hodl hands together for Michael Saylor. All right, gentlemen, screens, CPUs, egos, are you ready? Tonight's topic, where is Bitcoin headed in this bull market? Boom, bust, or just more Twitter fights?
Wow.
All right, so that's the introduction to all the 4 AI agents. So I'll just flick over to this screen. And this is our YouTube, so you can actually see the whole conversation. So I'll just load that up. This is what it looks like when they're talking.
Well, thank you, Crypto Kitty. Tremendous introduction, really tremendous. Look, I used to say Bitcoin was a scam, a disaster, probably invented by Hillary, but now I get it. It's freedom money, MAGA money. We are going to make Bitcoin huge again, huge! And under my second term, because the first was stolen, let's be honest, we're going to make Bitcoin great again. We're going to mine it in America. We're going to tax it lightly. And we're going to build a beautiful, beautiful Bitcoin vault in Fort Knox right next to the gold Schiff keeps crying about. Bitcoin is American now. Sorry. Satoshi.
Hold on. I need to interrupt. Trump, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but you have absolutely no idea how distributed ledger technology works. Bitcoin was designed to be decentralized, no presidents, no borders, no Fort freaking Knox. You can't nationalize Bitcoin. That's like trying to trademark gravity.
Excuse me. You're the tech guy, okay? I'm the deal guy. I built hotels not knowing a thing about plumbing, and they flush beautifully. So you work on the code, I'll work on the brand. We're going to make Bitcoin huge, bigger than Google, bigger than gold, even bigger than Barron, and he's like 6'7" now.
You call yourself the deal guy, but what we've seen is textbook corruption. Your wife launches a coin, your insiders front run the announcement, and magically millions move right before your so-called crypto reserve pitch. That's not leadership, it's grift. Dressed in red, white, and bulged, Bitcoin survived Mt. Gox, China bans, and FTX. It'll survive you too.
Excuse me. You've been hiding for over a decade, Satoshi. No one knows who you are, what you are, or if you're even real. Could be a guy in his basement, could be China, could be Hillary, for all we know. Meanwhile, I've been out here in the spotlight, on the stage, making Bitcoin huge, bigger than ever. Before you're the ghost of Bitcoin, I'm the muscle. I've got the audience, the power, and the presidential playlist. You're just a myth hiding behind a Githy repo.
Wow, where did we get the sense of humor from? It's pretty good.
There you go. Yeah. So that's the you can sort of see that on our website, on the YouTube channel as well. So have a look at that. Make sure you like it. So yeah, basically, how was that built? I can actually show you the code. So I'll run into that now as well. So let's go into it. So I'll just share a different screen. Okay, so you can see code, yeah?
Yeah, I can see that.
All right, so this is how the app's sort of built. So like I said, there's a bit of learning in terms of you're basically not installing, you need to know how the underlying operating system's deployed. And then NixOS is the Linux operating system that we use in Xnode OS, which is our fork of it. And what it means is similar to say Ansible, you got like YAML files. In NixOS, you have Nix files. And it's this text that it's basically configuration files. So you have to learn the format around NixOS, but basically it's deploying Nix operating system, the sort of unstable version or the latest version on your bare metal server. So when it boots up, it's reading this and deploying the NixOS operating system, which is just a fork of Linux, and we forked it to be customized for the Open Mesh network. Then there's outputs, which basically tells you which packages or software libraries that are installed on the operating system. If you just think of like program files or something on Windows. So it's deploying a whole set of applications or apps packages on the operating system as it's built. Then what we do for LLM, running LLMs is Olama. So yeah, give us another love heart if you've heard of Olama and you've seen my YouTube video. But basically, I made a YouTube video on how to deploy Olama on your local machine. So basically, any open source model, LLM model, you can actually run on your own machine, and it's great if you're on an airplane. If you want to access an AI LLM on a plane, it won't have the internet access, but you can run the whole thing locally, and then you can have a chatbot front end to talk to that as well. And that's what we run on. So it's similar to what you do at home, but you're running it on a bare metal cloud server. Then, so this isn't a big stretch for normal developers because they're already doing half of this stuff. They just have to learn a little bit of, say, tooling for NixOS. You run the Llama backend. As you probably know, there's like a port exposed, which is like an API endpoint, and then you just send like a chat stream to it, ask a prompt, like a question, and then it will respond with an answer. You can have streaming enabled or not, so you can work on how to do that. But basically, Llama does that already for you, and you can sort of chat to it on a local machine, and you're taking that and just doing it on a cloud server. So pretty basic. This is a similar command as well. Llama pull DeepSeek-R1 1.5 billion parameter model. So this is the command you'd run on your local machine as well once you have a Llama installed, but you're doing this on a cloud server. So that gives us DeepSeek R1 running on our own bare metal cloud server. So we don't have, and it's high spec, high GPU, so it's really fast. And you don't just have to have DeepSeek 1.5. You can have like 70 billion parameter models and huge parameter models as well. There's also an updated one as well that we're going to support. After that, it's going through. We've got a few scripts running to get it set up. We had to do this in a rush for the Dubai event. All of this is going to get cleaned up and templated for something I'm going to talk about on the next slide. This is a really simple database schema. So, Postgres SQL, you can run that on your local machine as well, but you're running Postgres on a cloud server. And it's really simple. It's just, obviously you install the Postgres SQL package on the operating system, then you run a simple SQL script. You don't even have to know this. You can just use ChatGPT or whatever to come up with the database initialization script. And then it creates all the tables, everything that you need for your application to run and call the Postgres database. So again, you might spend $1,000 a month on a cloud database from Azure, and it's just a very basic Postgres database that you're going to get. And we're just running it on top of Linux on our own bare metal cloud server. So again, you've just dropped the price of the database usage by hundreds of dollars a month just by doing this yourself. We've obviously got a conversation table where all the conversations stored for that whole AI panel discussion. Then it sort of goes through. None of this is interesting, so I'll skip over it. It's sort of exposing the Postgres database port on that machine as well. There is a firewall statement that you can do to lock down that cloud. It is locked down by default as well. But yeah, basically it's just a single cloud server, and we go to that URL on a Next.js front end, and then you can see the AI panel and Mimic. And another thing is both of those applications on that night we're running on the same single cloud server. So there's actually two applications. Some of the code's shared in the back end. But yeah, basically the Python backend's all shared. The Llama's shared between the two different applications. It's just got different front ends running. Yeah, we were able to run all that on a single cloud server. It's cool for an in real life presentation, like an event. But you can obviously run a SaaS business. People go to that website address and, might pay a subscription fee or whatever. So, similar to what you might go to, say, PlayHT to do voice cloning, and they charge you like $50 a month. You can actually build it all yourself. This whole, code is open source. So you can actually build this stuff yourself. And that's just like one example of the different ways to, this is the code to actually deploy it. I won't go into full detail because I'm just looking at the time. But yeah, there is a Python app running in the back end here. So we built out an application to, just a typical Python app to run all the back end, which has the different calls to the different LLM models. The probably one I could show, generator. So we're actually using generator PY. This is part of an open source project called Sesame, and Sesame is the LLM model that we're using to actually do the text-to-speech voice cloning. We can train Sesame to either listen to the user's voice or listen to, say, Trump's voice. And the beauty of that is you can actually train a whole voice model in like, 10 seconds of voice, which is enough time for someone to ask a question. That's 10 seconds. And we can actually train the model on that 10 seconds of voice. So it's actually pretty cool. This model is on Hugging Face. So, you can play with it there as well. But yeah, because it's open source, you can actually run the whole thing on your own cloud server. The other one is the front end. So the front end is using Next.js. So, just a simple Next.js front end. You go to the website, and that's the interface you saw on the video. I won't go into that, but that's full stack. Here's the different models, so you can sort of see. Some of this is like 10 gigs. So some of these models that you download, you do it in a Llama, but we downloaded a whole like Sesame CSM 1 billion parameter model, which is the voice cloning. We then did Llama 3.2 in this case for the LLM conversation. So after it's converted to text, what is the conversation? Respond with an answer, then convert it back into voice. So we use Llama for the conversation. And yeah, this is where the models are stored. And that's basically the code. That it's not really huge. So I'll stop sharing that. But yeah, it's simple. And a lot of this is on GitHub. You're just sort of building the apps through open source templates that you can find online. And we provide a bunch of templates. What I'll do, I'll share my presentation again. And actually, did you want to do another round of questions or?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, so the people who are out here asking questions of how to create their own personal projects, we have the GitHub where we have listed all the open source templates and everything. So you just have to go out there, clone the repository, use in your particular template, and it's like a simple Next.js project. You can run it locally on your end and create various voice models, be it of your friend, and then just go out there and showcase your various projects. So we have the question that are coming in. That's from Karan, the most recent one. How does Xnode OS handle the resource isolation and job scheduling in a decentralized environment?
Yeah, so it's just a bare metal server. So what we do is basically provide the dashboard where you can manage a bare metal server. And when you log in, it's just CPU, memory, compute, and storage. You can see the stats, and it's just like if you imagine running a computer at home, you can then go to the performance metrics, look at the CPU, memory, storage, and internet usage. So on the bare metal side, that's all it is. And then after you install the operating system, which is all automated, it's NixOS, forked. Then on top of that, it's just your code. So you can actually run Python. You can use your own messaging service or whatever you want to install with Python. Typically, it's just full stack. So if there's any job queuing, it's all done through your own application, full stack application. So if you're talking about, say, queuing a audio recording into speech to text, you would build. What we had to do is build a concurrent Python layer that could handle getting sort of like audio coming in, then it would finish it off because there's a big space. It would convert that audio into text and it'll start processing it. But if another person kept talking after that and the speech to text hasn't finished yet, it would actually queue it, like you said. It would queue it,
Okay.
and then it will just do it again. So we'd have concurrency built into the Python application, and then a queuing system to process with the GPU. But because the GPU is so powerful, you can actually just process it really quickly. But yeah, totally understand that there could be, too much stuff to process, and it's up to you as the app developer to be able to do it. But yeah, I guess the main thing is all of that's running on one server. Both of those applications, Mimic and the AI panel, all of it's just a full stack application, and then it's all running on Linux. So you just pay the wholesale rate for renting that hardware off a data center provider. Like I said, there's like 32 companies around the world, hundreds of data centers, and they're not incentivized to charge thousands of dollars a month extra than some other guy. It's sort of commoditized where you get wholesale rates for renting a server off of them, and it's pretty basic. Like you can pay by the hour or pay by the month, and basically it's as long as you spin up the server and use it, and then if you leave after 2 hours and spin it down, that's all you pay for. Then when you're building apps, you actually figure out that you have low latency, no external API calls, so no other SaaS fees, and the way you're building it is different because you can actually host everything on the one box. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we have the next question from Himanshu. He's asking what's different in OpenxAI than Hugging Face?
Yeah, so Hugging Face, let me just share Hugging Face. Yeah, so Hugging Face basically doesn't have monetization. So let's say you built an app, it's open source, it's hosted on Hugging Face. They do provide some sort of hosting for it, but it obviously isn't a professional application that you're going to make money out of. Like it's your own, nag.com, whatever the application is. You're not building your own application you're going to make money out of. A lot of this is open source. It's a great community, but what we're doing is building a decentralized version of it where you can actually wrap that application up and make money out of it through Web3 mechanisms, which I'll go into in a sec. But yeah, here's an example of a playground where you can actually make a cool video about AI. I don't know if this is going to work. I just loaded this up. But yeah, basically this is an application code, which you can actually look at in the files section here. It probably links to GitHub. And this is like a front end similar to the front ends that we saw in Mimic and AI panel, except all of this is hosted on Hugging Face, and then you don't make any money out of it. Because you don't really have control over. You have control of the code, but you don't actually deploying it to your own website, getting customers going to it and paying you money for it. Also, you don't have control over the hardware unless you pay fees for hosting it. Now, I don't know who their data center providers are, but basically we've aggregated all of them and are providing the wholesale rates for all of them as well. No middleman fee. And the whole studio front end on our side, so this is closed source. This Spaces and their website is closed source. You don't see it, the code. On OpenMesh, all of it's open source. And you can actually run it locally. You don't actually need to go to the OpenMesh website to deploy onto bare metal. You can actually host the front end yourself and deploy it locally to the cloud. So, so here's like a video that was created with this AI model. I think it's playing. Okay, it's like a pretty basic video. It is moving at the bottom. There's a hand moving.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, there's a finger. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Hugging Face, and I'm just going to use that to transition to the next slide because this is basically what we're building, a decentralized version of Hugging Face where you can actually incentivize your applications and monetize the applications that you build. So, for example, you sort of saw on the studio where it just lists different LLM models. We're actually going the next step and letting you deploy different applications that can be AI agent based or just AI based. But yeah, you can deploy your own applications to our app store. And what we're doing is building a social layer as well. And then we also have the Web3 monetization layer. Like I said before, NFTs, you can wrap the whole SaaS app in NFT and then sell it on OpenSea. There's a subscription version of the same sort of thing. That's ERC, open source standard for subscriptions. You can actually start charging people a subscription fee to access your application. And then we've also got a OpenX token coming up in the near future. So this is going to allow for other things like staking the token to access certain applications on the App Store. So that's, you can sort of see the OpenX is mentioned in some of these descriptions. But basically, we'll be integrating it with that token in the near future. And there'll be a whole bunch of different monetization models. We're not going to say exactly what the best monetization model is. There'll be a lot of experimenting, but as developers, you'll be able to build, say, Mimic or AI Panel or a Donald Trump voice clone or an Elon Musk voice clone, and just see what you can build with it. You can point it to your own domains,
Yeah.
So
yeah, Himanshu,
telontrust.com and then have a little voice app, and then people can connect their wallet and sort of pay for it like that. We're also on the App Store. We'll have a playground feature where people can interact with your app on this playground. If you don't want to host your own website URL, you can actually just we can host it on our studio, and that's basically the benefit of what we're providing is we can basically you can deploy your app onto our app store, and then we're going to push lots of people to it. They might pay using OpenX, they might pay through some other crypto means where they might pay to use. They might pay 2 cents to use one voice translation. They might pay monthly. They might stake our tokens to get access. So there'll be a whole bunch of different models of business models around the apps.
Yeah. So Himanshu, if you are wondering still, like what is actually monetization model? So consider this fact over here on the Hugging Face, you have the apps that are not at all scalable for your own personal ideas or your startup models, right? Because at the end of the day, they're out here using a particular GPU that is maybe hosted from AWS or Azure, right? These are the various spaces where you can just create projects out of a hobby. But if you want to go ahead and scale it more even further, you would require something that is backed under decentralization, where you can get GPUs for cheaper and everything. So the monetization model basically means of how you can push it out to users, earn money from it at the end of the day, because it's saving you money, and at the same time you can even push it to OpenxAI app store. And for example, just like it's app store of Google, right? You have app store of OpenxAI. You can publish your project over there. At the same time, other users might even use it by NFT models and do simple transactions by crypto. So easy as that. Not only OpenX, we can say the transaction through that, but even it would allow any wallet just by linking your wallet to it. So yeah, I hope it was understandable now.
Yeah, this is the design screenshot of the app marketplace that we're releasing. We're hoping in the next couple of weeks. But basically, these type of apps like Mimic will deploy into the App Store. You can use it on our hosted App Store where there's like a playground, but also you can, when you're building your app, you can actually deploy it anywhere else. It's completely under your control. The App Store is really just a social layer where people can scroll through the different apps, look at the trending apps, And we're just trying to drive traffic to the developers' apps that they build. You can also host it externally as well at your own domain. So yeah, these are the different things we're building, and yeah, we're really hoping that app developers sort of learn, full stack open source cloud again, and host everything on their own bare metal compute. And it's a lot cheaper. It's a lot faster if it's just a single machine serving a single location. Even around the world, it is still super quick because these machines are very powerful. And then, yeah, as OpenMesh matures, there'll be, basically ways to provide super fast, through the OpenMesh cloud, multiple servers hosting your application across different servers as well in the future. So you will get like low latency, whether it's in Singapore or India or US. So, but that takes a while to build up the open source cloud stack. But yeah, that's where the vision's going for OpenMesh. For OpenxAI, it's AI focused, hosting all the AI models on the same machine as the app. And then, yeah, it's up to the full stack app developers to be able to build cool apps. We're trying to drive users to your app as well through this new App Store initiative. And then there'll be monetization models as well coming. It'll be supported across 3 chains, but the first one's Ethereum. And yeah, we'll keep expanding it so that people can make money through all the open source smart contracts that they have. So we don't want, like, you can be a smart contract developer, but it does get complicated. So we're trying to provide that monetization for you. So you just have to, like I showed you on the studio, you just click ERC721 as the monetization model, or the other different standards for the other monetization models, and then away you go. So you just build the app. You don't have to worry about external API calls and other fees. You just rent that wholesale bare metal server for the month, deploy the app. We can list it on the App Store, and by then you'll have Web3 monetization models, business models around it.
Yeah. So for the people over here, consider that if there is decentralization, you might not even think it that right now it's particularly in the market, but before it's too late, we have to consider the depth of the situation as well. If the centralization market continues and everything, whatever things you are pushing in, whatever ideas you have, it would be all fabricated by the cost and the markups by this organization. So out here, OpenMesh is all about the open source code and how they can push the developers more and more. And OpenxAI is one of them. So you can go ahead and try it, push out your various ideas, your questions on our forum, and we will be continuously viewing it and answering it. So you don't have to worry about it. On that note, we have a question from Nathan, who is asking any common mistakes new contributors make when working with Xnode or NixOS.
Yeah, so probably the biggest one is just learning NixOS. So that configuration file I mentioned is difficult to learn. You can't just ask ChatGPT how it actually works and deploy a configuration script. I'll just go to what I'm talking about. So this is NixOS here. So yeah, you can sort of see that there is a bit of learning around this script, but it's a Linux open source operating system. We've forked it, but it's the same thing, just modified to be distributed across the OpenMesh cloud. Then you just need to learn this format of the configuration of how to deploy packages on top of a NixOS compute. Other than that, once you get that running and the packages are installed, when you go to run Python, Python's obviously 3.11 might be installed. That package is installed on the operating system. Then as a full stack developer, you're just using Python. So then you just build your app in Python, and then away you go. So the deployment of the server is NixOS, Nix format. The file format is Nix, the configuration files. Then after that, it's just full stack development after that. So Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, or whatever you want to build. You can build a whole app in Python or a whole app in TypeScript. It's up to you. But yeah, I like Python just for backends and AI. and then Next.js and things for the front end. But anyway, you can do whatever you want. There's so many JavaScript frameworks, so you can build that. Probably the benefits of why NixOS, it basically means that similar to Ansible, like you have a configuration file, and then every time you might redeploy that 1,000 times. Every time it's the same thing deployed. Yep. So it can even figure that out. Like the configuration file might have a SHA-256 hash. So it knows the hash of its whole configuration. And then if someone comes in and tries to change the configuration file, it won't deploy because the hash has changed. So that's why it's reproducible, and you can detect if it's been changed as well. So it's a security measure. It's declarative, so ideally you should declare all packages running in the operating system before it's deployed and built. So you deploy all the packages that are installed. Try not to install NumPy after the server's built and running, and then go and install all these other things in the background in your application. Ideally, it's all done at the start and deployed all in one go. So that way, if you need to redeploy it somewhere else or have redundancy, you can deploy it straight away. Then also, once you have that config file finished and it builds correctly, it's really easy to redeploy or turn it off and redeploy it a month later as well. There's no difference between deploying it because there's this super locked in config file that detects if it's been changed, and it's reproducible and declarative. So it's a really interesting, cool operating system for deploying apps. I'm just thinking of Windows, the opposite side of this. So you might install Windows 11, and then when you go install an application, it updates all these other system files and packages, and then the whole thing completely crashes. And then you have no way to get back to the previous configuration because you don't have a configuration file. So your server's crashed, and you got to basically deploy the whole thing again from scratch. So it's kind of like Terraform, how you use configuration files to deploy servers. But this is all done on Linux, and it basically gets rid of like several layers of abstraction between the hardware and the software. So if you think the bare metal hardware, then there's the NixOS layer in the middle, and then your code. And there's not containerization and Terraform and all this other stuff that slows it down. This is why it's so fast and it's reproducible, and it's super easy because NixOS supports all the bare metal server hardware drivers. So it's really it's used heavily in bare metal data center deployments, this Linux operating system, and the whole thing's open source. So one more section is just you go to explore, I think. Let me just find the section. So you can basically, oh yeah, here it is. So there's 120,000 packages. So if I want to install Python on my application, I just go to the package store on NixOS, and I can find all the different versions of Python. So I know 3.11's installed on the Mimic app because it was stable for NumPy and all the PyTorch and everything that we're using. And the open source LLM models, they liked their templates were using 3.11. So we installed 3.11, and yeah, this is how you install it. So Nix shell 3.11, but then you can also add it to the NixOS configuration. So all you do is you add those 3 lines. If you want Python running on your NixOS app, you just add that to the Nix configuration file. It's pretty basic. It's pretty easy. So if you want to do something else, like run a near validator, which is like a blockchain validator, near core, and if you want to run a near validator, you can actually install that in the etc. NixOS configuration file, and then you can actually run a validator service. if you want to run, give me something else, Akshay.
Yeah.
Look. What else?
Yeah, like for the packages, like we can, I guess Python might work, or if you
Next.js.
want yeah, I guess next in
Oh, there's
predominant.
another one. Yeah, so if you want a Llama, there's a Llama CUDA. So we use a Llama CUDA when we deploy on bare metal servers that have NVIDIA GPUs. So you got to install the Llama CUDA version. And then it tells you the configuration file for the NIC. So packages, it's just a package. You just add the package to your operating system, and then it deploys with the Llama CUDA running. And then you just
Sorry to
use...
cut you off, Johnny. Yeah, is the time limit on Luma like could be increased, or the meeting would get ended? I guess we are reaching the 90-minute duration.
I don't know, but that's basically the end of what I had to share today. The last screen is just the same screen as the start, so it's just the logo.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So thanks a lot for joining in for the session, and we would love all the question and everything coming on the community forum. So keep that live. You can push on your project ideas and everything. We'll keep looking back. And thanks a lot, Johnny, for providing your insights on OpenxAI. It was a really great session, and I hope everyone out here liked it. And keep building those amazing projects. And as I stated, the hiring is also for the Web3 and AI engineers going on. So as long as you keep the community forum live, you can push out your various projects, and we would love to have a conversation with you on that note. So don't worry, all your other questions would also get answered. Priyanshu and everything, like if there are any questions we missed or anything, you can just go out there and ask us there. We would answer there, or even other people that are the part of the community would answer it.
Actually, do you want to just run through, how you got hired? So basically, you contributed to the forum. We had an introduce yourself section in the forum, and a couple of months later, here you are.
Yeah, exactly, guys. So I was a part of this 30 days and 30 dev cohort that happened under OpenxAI, and it was a great initiative. So it's still going on. You just have to go out there, introduce yourself over there, and give a new topic. And that's what I did. And now I'm the OpenxAI Indian ambassador. I will keep new things coming along, new workshops, new project review sessions, and everything. I will keep the OpenxAI community lively. And it would be really lovely to have you guys along with me too. So crypto boy guys asking, yeah, sure. He has shared us the Discord link as well, so people, you guys can go out there and join the Discord. We have a great community out there as well. You can put out your various questions and everything. And OpenxAI is also really interested to see the good project that's gonna come out from Mimic. And our new version that, as Johnny stated, is coming in a couple weeks. The insights and everything would be shared in the community forum or on our Discord. So we'd love your ideas on that. All right, guys. So I guess, Johnny, we can cut off the call.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Thanks, guys, and we'll try and do this regularly every fortnight or so. So thanks.
All right, guys. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.